this thing on? Because it's getting ready to be on.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bell Ringer. My name is Greg. Your guest name today are Emma Concannon and Cam Smith. They were my classmates in the Leadership Buffalo program, Rising Leaders. When this posts, we will have just graduated after a full year. So throughout the episode, we reflect on the year. We talk about why we love Buffalo so much, why we're optimistic about its future, and why we're energized to help make that an even better future. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you to the Leadership Buffalo program and team for an awesome year. Thank you guys very much for coming in today, and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
So first we need to start, Cam. You are the number one fan of the Bell Ringer podcast, so any growth that we have seen is much thanks to you. So on behalf of our team and me as the host, thank you very much for always promoting us.
Yeah, no problem. Proud honor. Best podcast in the world.
That's what you say, yeah. So, Emma, we're here to talk about Leadership Buffalo. Yeah. Tell everybody a bit about what the program is for those that aren't aware.
So, it's an opening retreat and a closing retreat, bookend the year. And then throughout, it's a day session once a month that has a theme. So some of the themes that we had were education, poverty, hunger, criminal justice. There's Economic Development Day, Neighborhood Day, where we went out into the different parts of the city and explored. What else was there?
Did you say transportation?
Yeah, Transportation Day. So each day basically has a theme. And then throughout the day, we hear from different leaders in those industries, that kind of tell us about current events that are going on or different projects that are going on. And then we always do some site visits too, so we can see where exactly these places are that they're talking about.
Right, and it's all about servant leadership. Each day has a different theme attached to it that we're kind of learning along the way, right?
Yeah, it's about learning the themes, and then at the same time too, we're also taking any stereotypes or biases that might already exist, and eliminating them and bringing a whole different group of people together to have the conversation and firsthand see the problems our community faces, and then eventually be able to attack them to find solutions.
And each day also starts with kind of a quote, if you will, on something to be mindful about throughout the day, to keep in the back of our minds as we're meeting these people and learning about these different places and organizations. And then we do reflections at the end of the day too. It's just to kind of touch base with each other about what we saw and learned.
Yeah, and a lot of our classmates are from a lot of the top companies across our region, so everybody's really well represented and across industry, so it's kind of like an interesting perspective, especially when we do reflections, seeing how different people come at it. Emma, you kind of listed a lot of the day sessions that we went through. Is there a favorite that sticks out to you or something that kind of shines in memory?
I don't know if you could call it a favorite because it was somewhat of a heavy day, but certainly an impactful day was the hunger, poverty, and social justice day that we had.
Right.
Just because we heard some personal stories from women who have dealt with domestic violence. We did a poverty simulation where we experienced examples of just how hard it can be to, pay your bills if you live in a food desert, eat a healthy meal, all kinds of different things that we may take for granted. We kind of didn't really have those in these simulations, and when you don't have good food, or if you are missing school, if you're not paying your bills, it snowballs into homelessness and problems with the law and all kinds of different things. So it was kind of a heavy day, but definitely one that stuck with me.
Right. How about you, Ken?
I'd say my favorite day session was the education day. It was amazing to get to go see the different scope and range of all of our schools. We went to private, charter, public, and And then even when we I went to the Buffalo Maritime School, and which is a charter school, and we got to talk directly to the students, and we got to hear from their perspective what they thought the problems were in the city. They made like references to being kind of bullied or picked on when they're on the public transit for wearing their uniforms, and there was lack of security on the buses to kind of help deal with those issues. It was just kind of eye-opening to firsthand see and hear from our kids, and know what they can do, because they are the future of our city. So I would say that was probably the most impactful day for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the other days, a lot of the solutions people pose started with kids in the education system, because that helps break cycles. If you can teach kids when they're young, then things change as they grow up, which kind of always tied back to the education day, I thought.
Absolutely.
So we're an economic development organization. One of the days was economic development. Our president and CEO, Tom Kocharski, gave a presentation at Resurgence.
Yeah, it was the new Resurgence on Chicago Street.
Yeah, which was the first time I'd been there, which was really cool. And then we all kind of did a bunch of tours of cool companies and a lot of new developments. I know I did Chandler Street. What were your impressions of that day? I guess, Emma, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I went down to the Admiral Room, which they gave us a tour of the banquet facility, the kitchens, and then they also took us down into kind of the secret tunnel, if you will, where the vault was for the old Marine Midland Bank, which was super cool. And for me, one of the things that I thought was super interesting about that particular venue was how they managed to make it look so new and fresh, but also incorporate so many of the original pieces of the building, if you will, right. Which we talked a lot about this year. What once seemed kind of like a downfall of Buffalo, that we weren't renovating in the 60s and 70s like a lot of other places were, because we had so many people leave. A lot of the original architecture was preserved, and that's now actually an asset. And you could definitely see it in that building. It was so cool.
Yeah. Even where like the Leadership Buffalo offices at 500 Seneca is a restored warehouse that, was probably in disrepair at the time, and now is this awesome like loft and office space.
Right. So. Exactly. So it's cool to see downtown kind of getting revitalized. It's cool to see these new buildings getting revitalized. And then, we kind of all reconvened back at Resurgence, which is an awesome place too. Right on the river, and there's a whole banquet area upstairs. So it's the bar and the restaurant downstairs, but then also a great place for conferences and events upstairs too.
Cam, how about you?
So the highlight for me on Economic Development Day, I'd say, was all the speakers that we had at Resurgence. We had a panel discussion that was made up of head of the labor union, Erie Bosse's, and a private developer. I don't remember which one it was offhand, but hearing the need our city has for the skilled trades, and how our education system sometimes is kind of pushing our youth away from the idea of taking on a trade. It was amazing. We had the private developer said that they'd be willing to pay someone that graduated right out of high school, that went through the Erie Bosse's program for carpentry, $50,000 right off the bat, which is amazing. And so hearing the need and the grass like that. Then also Tom Kocharski, when he was talking about the impact of our region, and how he goes out around the country, and I imagine probably at times around the world, and represents us, and is a source for investors and other companies around the world to try and bring them to Buffalo. I thought that was amazing. And then we had Jack Greco from Techstars come and talk in the afternoon, and he he did an amazing job. He was very, very relaxed, and just again conveying the aspect of our region on startups. He made the point of how, think about Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. It's a 3-hour drive in between all of them, and you take a region like Atlanta, it takes you 4 hours to get from one side of the city to the other,
right?
With traffic. So it's our ecosystem is not just Buffalo. I mean, it's all of upstate New York, and to kind of find a ways to tie them all together is huge.
Yeah.
So,
and Jack has been on the podcast, but he was originally a founder of ACB Auctions, who just last week was named or valued at $1.5 billion, making it Buffalo's first software unicorn. So, he's no longer with them, but it kind of goes to show you that Buffalo's becoming more and more on the map for a whole widespread of industries, including entrepreneurialism and technology, software.
Yeah, and take it a step further too. Think of the startup culture that we're having, because it's bringing talent in from outside of West New York to come here, and knowing that there's multiple companies that if a person knows that if it doesn't work out at that company, they have other options locally, so they don't have to move their entire family again.
Yeah,
things like that. It all alludes right back into the startup campus that 43 North's creating down on the tower. So
yeah, and we launched our talent attraction campaign. That's something we always say is people don't want to move just for one opportunity. They want, we say, a career ladder, not a step stool of just one or two opportunities. They want to be able to move up and around, and that's a lot of what we're creating here with different clusters in different industries. Yeah. And we just had our closing retreat. This won't post for a few weeks, but we all just were together this weekend. Emma, you were elected one of our class chairs.
Yes.
And gave
very
a very beautiful and impassioned speech.
Aw, thanks.
Beautiful.
Tell us, you don't have to recreate the speech, but I thought it was pretty cool to hear what Leadership Buffalo has meant to you throughout the year. And
sure.
Like we all met last December or January to where we are now, laughing on a podcast and having a tough time getting through it.
And the best of frenemies.
Best of friends.
Oh,
maybe
true.
even Cam. Yeah.
True. It's hot and cold.
Both of you were nominated. I do have to say that as well, though. So
Craig was a front runner.
He was, and he.
Both of us respectfully.
Yes, but
bowed out of the competition.
In lieu that we want to support our current chairs.
We knew who deserved it.
Aw, you're too kind. This was just a couple days ago that we had the retreat and the elections, and I really didn't have anything planned for a speech, considering I wasn't really anticipating being nominated. I was very humbled and honored that that was even the case. So I just decided to speak from my heart and just kind of say what LB meant to me from a personal standpoint. And one of the day sessions that we had was healthcare, as I mentioned previously, and that focused on a lot of different aspects of healthcare, being that it's such a wide-ranging topic. And one of the topics was mental health, and that was something that coming into this year of LB, I was struggling a lot with anxiety and things of that nature. And when I met everyone at LB, it just kind of instantly felt like a family, and just being around like-minded individuals, but also such a diverse group, really just kind of made me be a better version of myself and pushed me to always learn more and look at things from a different perspective. And then just the exposure that I got throughout the year to these different organizations and people just really, I don't know, kind of...
Yeah.
It just hit a soft spot for me, and the people in the class are great. The people we met in the community are great. So I was just kind of hoping to be able to give back as a class chair. So.
Yeah, and I've done like over 50 episodes of this podcast, and most of the time I ask people like, what is Buffalo's greatest asset, or what's the best thing about our community? And almost always it's our people is the answer. So not just the people in our class, but like you said, a lot of the people that we met and getting to hear from the leaders that are making a difference and have for the last 10, 20 years as we've kind of gone through this renaissance is like of a lot of value. And even when we have people in from out of town, that's the consistent comment that we get is how tight-knit the community is. It's
For
not
sure.
just like a talking point. It's hard to actually like quantify, but it is true. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely not something tangible, but it's certainly something profound. So it's been a great experience in both regards.
Yeah, I kind of like to say too that we kind of talked about earlier about how we got to experience everything we did this past year. Now it's about implementing and make that change, and our class chairs are going to kind of lead us and kind of help create opportunities for us to do that. And I think speaking on behalf of our whole class, I think we're all pretty confident in our current chairs that we have to accomplish that.
Yeah, and Cam, you kind of already started the transition a couple months ago. You organized a fundraiser for Seneca Street CDC that Emma and I had the pleasure of attending and helping out with. So tell us a bit about that as we kind of transition the conversation to life after LB and the difference that we can now go and make in the community.
Yeah, so one day we got an email from Althea telling us that Jason Holler...
Althea is the CEO, just for those that don't know. Continue.
If you didn't know, yes, Althea runs LB. And she sent us out an email informing us that our classmate from the Classroom Experience program was going to be... Jason Holler was going to be running a digital video class at the Seneca Street Community Development Center. And they were seeing if anyone had any cameras that they could donate. Growing up, I took a couple digital video classes, so I had a little bit of an idea, and I immediately reached out to Althea and Jason to see if maybe we could do something that make a little bit more of an impact on the kids. So the idea was that maybe we could raise some money to buy all new equipment, and that could be right there on site for the kids to use year-round. To kind of maybe develop their skills or a talent or passion or hobby, however they took it, and then they could continue to go through the class and basically develop into it being a self-sustaining program. So together with our class, we put together a fundraiser in 28 days, and we were able to raise just over $2,000 for the program, which Jason's now taking, and he's going to buy the equipment. And I'm going to help him out and start volunteering during the classes to kind of just be an aid. And it's just an example of how we can give back to our community, show the kids that we're there to support them, to do good things. And yeah.
And we saw one of the first videos this weekend at the retreat that the kids had started to put together, which was really cool to see, like how far it's come from your initial email to the fundraiser at Fat Bob's to, kids doing cartwheels in front of a video camera and interviewing their teachers and all that stuff. You could see how much fun that they were having with it too.
And I think that's one of another benefits to the program, and I think will really kick into high gear now that we're going to be graduating in a couple weeks, is we have a lot of well-intended people who want to get involved in the community and want to help and want to contribute their time and resources. And one thing that's great about LB is it kind of exposes you to the places that need it most. So the Seneca Street Community Center is a great example of the type of organization that now, upon graduation in a couple weeks, the LB members can go out and start volunteering their time, resources, and energy with. There was, I believe, 8 organizations that came to our retreat this weekend,
Right.
and kind of gave us their spiel, if you will, about what kind of help they need, whether it be people's time, different fundraisers they have going on, etc. And all of our class is going to pick one of those charities or organizations and go on to do a project with them to help in their efforts in these different areas that they said they're most in need.
Yeah, and I know, so I was in the Family Promise group helping with family homelessness, and I probably have like 5 to 10 emails still waiting to look at. Our group is already getting together and like sending out doodle polls and action items. So I think everybody's coming out of the weekend is really energized to do something, and I don't see that going away anytime soon, knowing our group and how dedicated everyone is.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's dedication, and there's also like I guess kind of the unspoken bond that we all kind of have now just from going through the program together, and experiencing the lows and the highs, and we've all had a lot of good times through it too, and I think we're all poised and ready to kind of attack the issues that we've identified and really make an impact on our community.
Yeah. Well, it's a good spot to end on. Before I let you guys go, as you know, as Cam knows, this is a dedicated listener. Blizzard round, hard-hitting, journalistic questions. Almost dropped my stress ball.
This is a bucket list item for me.
This is, yes. This was also referenced in 2 different LB skits this past weekend. We'll go Emma, and then Cam, and then back to me for the question.
Okay.
Emma, if you were a flavor of ice cream, what would you be?
Chocolate.
Cookie dough.
Book or TV show that you'd recommend?
Marvelous Miss Maisel on Amazon.
I'm really big into Survivor and the Bravo Network.
Love Bravo. I agree with Cam.
Text or phone call?
Phone call.
I'll do a text.
Bills or Sabres?
Ooh, Bills.
Yeah, Bills all day. What's up with that hesitation?
Wait, can I retract? I might be Sabres.
Emma, you gotta go Bisons.
Just kidding. I saved the best for last. I'm a Bisons fan. Shout out Mike Buchkowski, best GM in the league.
Your uncle, is it?
Yep. But he also is the best.
Also the best. You said Bills, obviously.
Obviously, Bills. Camgate, be there.
December 8th.
Building a future.
Ravens game, I'll be there. Hiking or skiing?
Hiking.
I'll go snowboarding.
And last question, most important, chicken wings, drumstick or flat?
Flat, 10,000%.
What? Drumstick.
I'm a drumstick as well. Thank you guys very
much.
At
CPG.
At the bar that he bartends at. Thank you guys for joining the podcast, and thanks for everything this year. It's been super fun.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Classmates for life.
Go Bills.
Bellringer is a podcast by Invest Buffalo Niagara, the region's privately funded, nonprofit marketing and economic development organization. Please rate this podcast, follow our social media channels, and read our blog at buffaloniagara.org for the best of Buffalo Niagara. Come grow your business with us.